there's been interest in foreign countries hacking into congressional computers.
When you have a digital system, when computer A, which is in some cases a cell phone, and computer B, another cell phone, want to talk to each other, they don't talk directly. They talk by this one attached to one network talking to that cell tower. It talks to some computers. They talk to other computers, billing everyone to make sure the account's good. It eventually talks to another tower that calls this phone. So even though these two computers are right next to each other, they use hundreds of other computers to talk to each other to do part of the job. The information assurance to get those two things correct and have the rest of the computers is important, and the most important part to start with the assurance is this computer has a hardened number. It has an identity. It has a digital phone number, but it also has a chip with a very specific and known number associated with me paying this phone's bill. This one has a separate identity. The identity of the elements themselves allow this phone to call this phone and not accidentally call some other phone. Because if it just randomly said call somebody, you could, but you want this phone to call a specific number. The identities of the objects have to be hardened. And the value to us is that identity is hardened to a person who pays and owns the account. Voting machines intrinsically cannot be made secure. The process of voting is supposed to be about me entering a room and making a decision on paper that is not hardened to me. You are not supposed to be able to take the ballot and go, aha, this is Steve's ballot. You're supposed to be able to vote anonymously. But what happens then is, as this pile of anonymous information builds up, the custody of it needs to be in extremely strong control. Because the machine itself, if it pours all that information together and changes it, you can't go back and harden who did what and confirm the machine is telling you the truth. Even if you built a perfect computer, which no one ever has, that never made an error, that no one ever has, that had unhackable code, which is impossible, and no one ever had access to it except the right people, which never happens, the very architecture of the design to say, I want this computer to collect a lot of information, but I never want to harden that information who it collected it from, means malice is possible in the design. That problem leads to a further threat. Right now, unfortunately, it's become this terribly partisan issue. I'm a lifelong member of the GOP. I'm a Republican. And the problem is, some members in my party seem to have gotten it in their head that, well, we'll control the voting machines, and that means we own the genie. You don't own a genie. We have, excuse me, extremely significant foreign threats who, on a daily basis, are hacking our credit card systems, the Pentagon, other government agencies, people's personal data. And these voting machines are unbelievably poorly designed, crude computers set up by your grandmother who probably can't use her email once a year on a folding table. And it's like they're sitting going, well, they're not attached to the network. True for small portions of the time, but then they got to communicate with each other to tabulate the vote. That's a network, people. A hackable communications network, just like when this phone calls this phone, and if something in the middle intercepts my phone call and sends it to a different phone, I'll know because the right phones won't ring. But if something intercepts it and changes the vote, you won't know because the anonymous nature of the vote itself makes a manipulation in the middle completely possible.